Going everyone, it's Scott Cerulli again. It's my third vlog. I made it. Thanks for watching the first couple. And I want to get right to the subject this week, which is focus. A lot of people over time have kind of come and said, I'm not progressing. How do I progress? How do I focus? How do I practice more? How do I budget my time more, I guess? Well, there's a couple things in play I'm thinking that we can discuss now, which will be simple enough. There's two. One is, seeing the end result. If you're a basketball player, you might see yourself playing in the NBA in the starting lineup and like a high score. And that's great. But that's preceding the years of every day shooting, maybe 800 free throws or 800 layups and running and whatever it takes. And in music, it's kind of the same. For me, at a young age, I picked up guitar and I just played. I just learned songs, and that was great. And I started getting better just playing. Eventually, I saw, other players and heard other players and other styles of music that really appealed to me that I wanted to start to get into. And, then I wanted to start being the session guy and playing recording sessions and playing with like a better caliber of players. And, in that sense, we can't just approximate that and end up there, most of us. I had to know what I was doing. In a lot of cases, it's seeking out, instruction from people, maybe study with someone. So you need to see the intrinsic value. I think the problem is in music, especially with guitar players, I see it's very easy for them to pick up and learn their favorite tunes. They're tabbed out everywhere. There's videos on YouTube to show you where to put your fingers. But do you understand your instrument? Do you understand how to be creative? Are you learning the language so you can speak the language? That's where the hard part comes in. That's where the focus is difficult. So it's definitely seeing the end result without, considering the intrinsic value of the things that build up to that. The other thing is that I see a lot is people saying, well, I have learning disabilities. For example, ADHD is one I hear a lot. Well, I have ADHD. And when I was younger, they didn't have a word for that in school. They just kind of called you lazy or not so bright or other things that weren't really favorable. So it was, there was a lot of doubt whether, a kid was going to progress because, you were trouble. You weren't focused. You were a mess. So I think that could build character if you take it right. You have a lot of people to prove wrong, and you have to kind of take the understanding that if you're ADHD, you're going to have to work harder than people. And if you don't mind doing that, you're going to probably arrive at something much deeper than other people because you are learning how to overcome problems. A lot of other people don't do that. If they automatically can sit in math class and not study at home and get A's on the test, what happens when they get older and they're not good at something? Well, they're not going to attempt it. They don't know how to. I think, so that's kind of the gift that you can think of. For me, the way I started to deal with this problem is I would see, and I hear a lot of students and other people say, I see my friend practicing 6-8 hours a day, and I can't do that. I can't progress. I can't focus. And first of all, you can't judge yourself by somebody else. You have a different life experience than them. You have a different makeup than them, and that's your treasure. You're just going to have to do this a different way. That's what I did. So here's one tool. I got a blank notebook from a pharmacy, and I chose, let's say, for example, 3 things I was going to work on the next 7 days. Let's say they were scales, chords, and maybe like a blues solo. So I would sit down and I would practice my scales. Now let's say you do that, and after 10 minutes, your mind starts to wander. I should check my phone. Who texted me? I wonder who's online. Did I forget to do this? Well, stop right now. Now you're getting diminishing returns in your practice. So just write 10 minutes down. It's okay. The next thing, you might come back a half hour later or an hour later or many hours later and practice chords. Let's say you get 10 minutes out of that again. Well, write it down. And let's say the blues solo, you get a solid half hour out of that because it's a little more fun. That's good. So write down 30 minutes and maybe you go back and do the scales for 10 more minutes. Now, even if you stop there, you've got a solid hour of very focused practice that day, which is excellent. That's better than if you sat down in a chair for an hour, because then you wouldn't have that same, you couldn't count it as an hour if you were starting to wander. But now it's good. You have a foundation of an hour. You could choose to wrap it up and circle, write 1 hour under that day and circle it. And that's good. That is what it is. But nothing says you can't go back and add 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes at a time to each of these to build that number up. But, you know, for me, it was like a bunch of weeks of hour and a half. And I was disappointed at first because I would go to gigs and, you know, the bass player would say, oh, I got, 6 hours of practice in today. Now, whether that was really true or not, now that I look back, is different. But I think if you break this down, over time I got better. I started seeing 4.5 hours, 6 hours of practice a day consistently. I learned how I learned. I learned how my brain worked. I learned how to focus and be patient with yourself. Be patient and, always realize you're getting, even if it's a 30 minutes, 10 minutes on each thing, that's 30 minutes of real focused practice. Can't go wrong. You have to do it all 7 days. And then you can maybe choose some new stuff to do or add something to that list. I hope you subscribe to my YouTube page here and like my Facebook page. And I'll talk to you next week, I hope. Okay, take care.